Over on Twitter, Joshua Benton is pointing out two approved Louisiana history textbooks for the 8th graders in that state. There are only two, apparently. And at least according to, this fellow who's tweeting to, pointing this out. And Christopher Reeves over on Daily Kos took that and did a little research and built it into a whole piece. Welcome to 8th grade textbooks in Louisiana and the story of poor Kate Stone, writes Christopher. And then this is from the book. So you're an 8th grade student in Louisiana. Imagine if you were a black 8th grade student in Louisiana. And this is your history book, right? And it tells the story of young Kate Stone, right? A young woman who lives on a young white woman who lives on a plantation. Well, I'll just read you from the textbook. With more than 1,000 acres and 150 slaves, the family's future seemed secure. However, in 1861, after Louisiana's secession from the United States in January and the beginning of the Civil War in April, the lives of everyone on the Stone plantation changed. Now, how did they change? Well, we ended slavery. Poor Kate, right? What's this poor white girl who, her family owns 150 other human beings, holds them in enslavement? What's she gonna do? Well, the textbook fills that in. They were able to reclaim their plantation, this is after the Civil War. But due to emancipation, parenthesis, the freeing of the slaves, close parenthesis, they lost all of their property in slaves. Yes, actually, the majority of the wealth that the South held was humans. Just let that sink in for a minute. It wasn't their buildings, it wasn't their land, it was the humans that they held in bondage, in slavery. Back to the textbook. Kate Stone's family, they were able to reclaim their plantation, but due to emancipation, the freeing of the slaves lost all of their property in slaves. The family had to face the new reality of planting and harvesting their fields with freed people who Kate regretted. Now, this is, young Kate, the white girl who lives on the plantation, who Kate regretted, now demanded high wages. Oh my God, we're running a cotton plantation and we've got to pay our workers? This is a disaster. This is an 8th grade Louisiana history textbook lamenting the loss of slave labor. Well, not to worry, Louisiana citizens, you still have slave labor. The 13th Amendment did not end slave labor in the United States. It merely compartmentalized it. No, seriously, I'm not making this up. It's an absolute, actual fact. In fact, let me find my little handy U.S. Constitution, and I will read to you the language of the 13th Amendment. And here it is. This was ratified on December 6th, 1865. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime, whereof the party has been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So, slavery may not exist in the United States any longer after 1865, except, and thus, the largest, I believe, Parchman is in Louisiana. It used to be a massive cotton plantation. It's now a massive prison. And they're still working the cotton. Anyhow, back to the textbook. And poor Kate. It is, and this again from Joshua Benton's tweet, J. Benton, at J. Benton. It is impossible to understand the years between 1820, and this is from the textbook, between 1820 and 1860, without appreciating how the state's people shaped one another. Free and slave, native-born and immigrant, though Louisianans did not always interact peacefully, they shaped one another's lives, fortunes, and cultures. she, you think? I mean, as Christopher Reeves over at Daily Kos adds a little punctuation here. Look at how great it was before they elected Lincoln and went after slavery. Damn it, things were going great. We just stole their heritage, made music of it, and forced them to work for free, and it was great. But that Civil War, it impacted everyone's fortunes. Well, yeah, I mean, that was kind of the idea, wasn't it? Okay, so we've got that. And then we've got the legacy of that. This from Newser.com. A story by Evan Gestaldo. The headline, he was lying on the couch when police burst in, shot him dead. Johnny Lorenzo Bolton was lying with his eyes closed on a couch in his apartment near Atlanta when police serving a narcotics search warrant. Why do we even... Well, that's a whole nother thing. When police serving a narcotics search warrant burst through the front door with guns drawn and no warning. Bolton stood up, and at least one of the officers fired, sending 2 bullets into Bolton's chest. The 49-year-old black man died from his injuries. This is like the Breonna Taylor killing in Kentucky. It's, it's just Bolton's relatives and their lawyers wanted to try to get information about the shooting from law enforcement before drawing attention to this killing. But frustrated in those efforts, the attorney sent a draft of a lawsuit to Cobb County officials in mid-April, along with a letter threatening litigation if county officials didn't provide more information and address accountability and compensation for Bolton's death. Bolton's sister Daphne, in a recent interview with the Associated Press, said, "For almost 6 months, we gave them quiet. That lets me know that that's not what's going to get a response. In other words, quiet doesn't get a response." She says, "I want my brother's name to ring beside Breonna Taylor's. When they say Breonna Taylor, I want them to say Breonna Taylor and Johnny Lorenzo Bolton. I want them to be simultaneous." She also, by the way, wants an end to no-knock warrants. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's put a national end to no-knock warrants.